Hello everyone, I'm Pete O'Farrell. Thank you for tuning in to our Walpole News Today's Summer 2023 recap.
And I'm Jessica Kurgo. From potential zoning changes to a number of new construction updates, we have plenty of important headlines to get caught up on this month, so let's get into it. Summer is sadly coming to a close, which, as we all know, means Fall Town Meeting is just around the corner. The Select Board voted unanimously to close the town meeting warrant at their August 22nd meeting. It currently consists of 21 articles, including 2 citizens' petitions and a number of proposed zoning code revisions. More information is expected as the language is finalized and the Planning Board holds public hearings. Town Administrator Jim Johnson expects to hear back from Town Council by the September 12th Select Board meeting.
For the FY24 budget and town meeting, the state budget process is just about finalized. We get the final cherry sheet numbers today. They still have to be ratified and signed by the governor, but it looks like we're in line for about an extra $1.5 million, which is what we had thought. We were just being cautious on that. My likely recommendation is going to be that a majority of that goes towards the capital stabilization fund to help offset the cost of the high school. I do expect some tweaks in the budget will be needed. I know the school department has mentioned they look like they need an extra 200 or so thousand. I'd like to park about 100 or so in the reserve fund.
I'd make a motion to close the fall 2023 town meeting warrant.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
It is a vote, 5-0-0.
Among the items on the warrant is another zoning bylaw amendment that would permit accessory in-law units by right within all residential districts. Select Board members are hoping for a favorable vote this time around after a previous article on the matter was sent back to committee per the spring 2023 town meeting. Since then, the article has been redrafted with community input and more specific language. The Select Board voted unanimously to sponsor the article after reviewing a memo with several new proposed regulations, including a kinship requirement, a 55 and over age requirement, and a biannual certification process. The article will require a 50% favorable vote in order to pass at town meeting.
One of the things that I've concluded over the last 2 weeks is that if you're not careful, you can end up with a very wide range of use cases, I'll call them. And I'm not sure that's our intent. I would be opposed to unrestricted, which is one of the options that you explored in your memo to us. So I'm liking very much at this point landing on the 2 that we discussed last time, which is the kinship requirement and the over 55. I like reducing it from the 62 to the over 55. I think that makes a whole lot of sense. So I like that a lot. I also like less bureaucracy around the attestation going from the 1 year to the 2 year. So I think that makes a big difference as well. I support the by right aspect of this, although I suspect that'll become a point of discussion as we go through the process, and we'll need to be ready to discuss that. But I actually think that we've landed in a very good spot here.
I appreciate the changes that you've made, the 55 as right, biannual, kinship. I think those are all great points to go forward with this. I'm hoping that this has the support and has support at town meeting, so I'm comfortable with it.
We're now in a good spot. I like this the way it is, so I'm going to fully support it and, would love to see it move forward.
Speaking of new zoning regulations, town officials continue to parse through new state zoning requirements as the 2024 deadline for compliance quickly approaches. Walpole is one of 177 communities in the state expected to meet new multifamily zoning requirements set forth by the Massachusetts Office of Housing and Livable Communities. Aimed at addressing the state's ongoing housing crisis, the guidelines require MBTA communities to have at least one zoning district of reasonable size where multifamily housing is permitted by right, among other criteria. At the August 1st Select Board meeting, Director of Community and Economic Development Patrick Deschaines and Senior Planner Tyler Manning of the Barrett Planning Group presented models for potential areas and configurations to maintain compliance. Deschaines will further discuss MBTA community guidelines at the September 21st Planning Board meeting. Public sessions on the topic are expected to take place this fall and winter. Here's more from the recent update.
Part of this whole process is different compliance deadlines. So if this board remembers, initially I met with you to discuss the draft guidelines. That was making us compliant for FY22. Recently I did what's called the action plan in terms of kind of laying out what our plan of approach is going to be to lead us towards compliance. By the end of 2024, we will want to have submitted applicable documentation to DHCD, notifying that we are in compliance. And in order to do so, obviously, we need to pass the zoning at town meeting.
Our recommendation to all of our clients that we're helping with this MBTA community's compliance is to go with an overlay. That way you can superimpose the specific MBTA community requirements on an area without having to worry about combing through your existing zoning with a fine-tooth comb and picking out things to change. Most of our thinking has been in and around downtown, and the major reasons for that are, one, that's where your commuter rail station is, and most of it has to be in that radius anyway, so it makes sense to look there. There's already a decent amount of multifamily development, so that's an area where zoning for that would be more in character as opposed to some other random location. If you were to put an overlay district that complies with this law in this area, your underlying central business districts would not go away. As the public process goes on and you get a clearer sense of what dimensional regulations are really the most important, those can be tweaked. And I imagine that in the process of actually writing this zoning, they probably will be.
Details were nailed down for an election concerning the construction of a brand new $280 million Tri-County Regional Vocational High School building. At their July 18th meeting, the Select Board voted to use the Town Hall main meeting room as the sole polling location for this election. Walpole is one of 11 cities and towns set to participate in the October 24th special election. According to an article published by the Sun Chronicle, state financial assistance for the project is anticipated to run between $85 to $100 million. District towns would then be responsible for the remaining roughly $200 million tab, and their individual costs would be based on the community's respective student enrollment numbers. The vote will take place on October 24th between 12 noon and 8 p.m. and requires a majority vote in each town in order to pass. Select Board Chair Allie Hamilton emphasized the importance of raising voter awareness about the details for this special election. Here's more from the meeting.
They don't do it by precinct. It's just, it would be one same ballot all across for the town. So with that, they're asking, do we want to use the same 3 polling locations, or did we want to have 1 polling location? So that's one of the decisions that we can make for us. They are the ones who are going to write the warrant and post the warrant only in the town hall. It falls under different election rules under Mass General Law, so we can have it at 1 polling location. They are only expecting a 10% turnout. For me, that would be 1,900 voters. So my thought process on that was, because if it's not going to be precinct oriented, I absolutely could probably hold it in the Select Board meeting room right there, the main meeting room, and have that 12 to 8 at the town hall and make that our polling location.
Construction of the new middle school building remained on schedule this summer, focusing heavily on roof installation, fireproofing, and exterior framing. The project's 3D modeling effort, which has helped immensely with the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing coordination between subcontractors and engineers, is almost complete. According to an update from Select Board member Ben Barrett, completion of the 3D modeling eliminates significant financial and scheduling risks. The construction manager, Fontaine Brothers Inc., says interior work will continue throughout the fall and winter seasons.
The Select Board signed a contract with the Medford-based Nealon Construction Corp. for $37,500 to repair the old Walpole Town Hall entranceway. After town meeting rejected an article to sell the historic building last spring, the board voted to appropriate up to $300,000 in infrastructural improvements in order to bring the building to code and maximize its use capabilities.
By just 1 vote, the Board of Health struck down a Recreation Department request to widen the town's lifeguard variance earlier this summer. At the board's July 18th meeting, Recreation Director Brendan Croak explained how a severe lifeguard shortage has led to the understaffing and even underuse of the town's pools. Members took use and safety concerns into consideration before voting on the Rec Department's request to change Walpole's current requirement of 1 lifeguard per 20 bathers to the state's pool code of 1 lifeguard per 25 bathers.
We have had to turn away numerous families, especially with the heat that we've experienced lately. It's been frustrating and disappointing for not only us, but for the customers as well, to kind of have everybody, get in the car and you see parents with, one kid in each arm and a diaper bag and a stroller, and only to be turned away because, we've hit our capacity due to that lifeguard shortage.
I understand there's a shortage of lifeguards, but putting more burden on the few lifeguards that we have doesn't seem like the best solution to me. It makes me very nervous.
I get the bather, the definition of the bather, but more often than not, we're having, a third to a half of the pool's capacity at the time, really not being in the water.
We could probably test this season and see how it goes.
That's just not a risk I'm willing to take, to see if something happens and hope that it doesn't.
Walpole Public Schools kicked off the new school year on Wednesday, August 30th. Walpole Media caught up with some returning staff and faculty members to hear what they were looking forward to this school year.
So I'm a special ed teacher, and I do pretty much 9 through 12, but I'm also a certified history teacher and English teacher. So I was just psyched to be back, see my students, my colleagues, meet my new students too. I got a bunch of new freshmen that came on board. So, and just being back, it's a great place to work. I feel, even though I've only been here for 2 years, I feel like I've worked here for decades. It's just an awesome place. So I'm doing executive functioning skills and then another academic skills. I've kind of moved me away from the English part, so that's kind of exciting for me. I enjoy that. I'm in a new room. I'm in Mr. Conley's old room, 1153. So that's fun, and it's just good to be back in the school. And I know we get the football games coming up. Hopefully, I'll volunteer to work some of those and things like that.
So I teach high school Spanish, grades 9 through 12, Spanish 2, 3, and 4 this year. I've been with Walpole for, I'm gonna say probably close to 20 years. A little shy of 20, yeah. I do know we are getting a new language lab, which is exciting. It's always, a little, you get a little scared to learn something new, but the kids really love going in there, and it allows them to practice their language skills without the background noise. So I'm looking forward to doing that, getting to learn the new system and things like that. I always say my favorite part is being with the kids. It's amazing to see them mature over the 4 years, especially as a language teacher. It's amazing to see that their language skills, their proficiency increase, usually over the 4 years. Just the growth in general of the students.
Light Up Walpole is an organization of community volunteers working to reinvigorate the town's tradition of festive lighting and seasonal decorations around the common. Formed in 2022, the group serves as a resource for fundraising and coordination between volunteers to help bring new life to the design and implementation of Walpole's holiday decorations. Light Up Walpole is currently looking for additional volunteers to help set up displays on the 2 Saturdays prior to Thanksgiving, with a final test of lights after Thanksgiving. Anyone interested in signing up to volunteer can send an email to lightupwalpole@gmail.com.
That's all for this month's show. More information on these stories can be found on our YouTube channel and at walpolemedia.tv.
If you found today's coverage helpful, you can support Walpole Media by liking or sharing this video, subscribing to our YouTube channel, or following us on social media. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.